We went into the tournament with a lot of promise. It was a golden opportunity for India to qualify for the AFC U-23 Championship. However, we were let down because of losses to Uzbekistan and Tajikistan, and the Indian Under-23 is going nowhere again. In this video, we tell you what is going wrong and what can be done to help the Indian national football team's quality. Before we move into the main topic, a quick recap of what actually happened. So, India faced Uzbekistan first and they lost 3-0. What happened there?
They lost 3-0, yes, but they had two golden chances when the score was 0-0. Anirudh Thapa shot straight at the keeper, and then Rahul KP was one-on-one with the keeper and then somehow contrived to miss that chance. And then India conceded a penalty right at the end of the first half. And in the second half, really, Uzbekistan were much the better side, and India really weren't expected to do much against Uzbekistan. Let's be honest, they are the defending Asian Under-23 champions. But I think it's not all doom and gloom. Because in both games, there were periods of the game where India created a lot of chances. They played some decent football. Obviously, taking chances is something that you have to do, especially when you're going into the game as underdogs. When you get clear-cut chances, you have to take them, and that's something India didn't do all tournament. But I think there is the building blocks are something to build on, unlike past performances which have happened in the same.
Alright, we have heard enough of sleeping giant of global football and we have had enough of these spirited performances. What is actually going wrong and what can be done to help Indian football in the future? Let's hear it first from Aaditya.
I think, there's enough and more being spoken about the league structure, and that is obviously something that needs to be something that is put in place very soon. You can't have the ISL and the I-League going on. We're not going to get into that debate for now, but the league structure is something that needs to be sorted out. But I think something far more important than that is for Indian youngsters to get playing time in their ISL teams. Because you look at this Under-23 squad itself. How many of them are regulars for their clubs? Dheeraj is a regular. Vinit Rai is not. Anirudh Thapa is not, although he probably should be. Daniel Alimpuya, no. So apart from Dheeraj, Changte, Sahal and Nishu Kumar, there are no real regulars per se. There are the Arrows players, of course, who play in a team that is created for them. They're not fighting with more experienced players. Or you take the example of Nishu. Sometimes he's fighting with a player like Rahul Beke for a spot, and that obviously makes Nishu a lot better. And I think that can only happen. The Indian youngsters getting chances can only happen when we go and get these leagues in our country to follow the foreigner norms as stipulated by the AFC, which is 3 foreigners and 1 Asian foreigner. It's all well and good in the developmental stages of the ISL to have 6 foreigners, 5 foreigners, all well and good. But eventually you want India to transition into something that dovetails with the Asian system as well.
Another thing that is really lacking is the amount of game time, along with not being a regular for their teams. The amount of matches that these Indians, not just the juniors, even the seniors, is quite less. They play only about 20 to 25 matches, whereas people from other countries in other leagues, they play at least 30 to 40 games, 35 to 40 games in fact, over a regular season. Here we have a fixed season which runs from October to March, and then you have a Super Cup in April. After April, what next for the player? What does he have to do to stay fit? There is no concrete plan on this, and there are many months where a player is sitting and doing nothing. So rather than have a regional system in the second division league where one team travels to the neighboring state, if you put them all together and make them play against each other, either at one venue or different venues, it doesn't matter. The number of games will increase, the number of playing time will increase, the competition will increase. So this is another point that we would like to make about the improvement in Indian football. Well, I'm sure you've all heard about the famous wins over Italy under-17 and Argentina in the last year. But these are the exposure trips that the Indian team is going, but their performances in these international or Asian level tournaments do not suggest the same kind of quality. What is going wrong there?
See, you cannot build a youth system or a grassroots system by sending a bunch of 25, 30 players to different places over a certain period. So, you need to build and see. No one's talking about India qualifying for the World Cup in 2022, 2026. No one who knows football. Praful Patel says whatever, but Rome wasn't built in a day. So you want to set in place a system where one day, maybe 50, 60, 70, how many ever years from now, you take it for granted that India are playing in the Asian Cup always. You take it for granted that India are going to be in third round of World Cup qualifying, not even qualifying for the World Cup. You take it for granted that India are going to be there. So that is not going to be built over 3-4 years and sending 3-4 bunch of boys to Europe or to South America or wherever they go. You need to build a system within this country where youngsters are playing football all the time, where they're playing competitive football, and that's how it's going to grow. I mean, we saw when the Under-17 World Cup happened, there was barely a pool of players to select from. I mean, outside the AFF Academy, there was 3-4 players from the Minerva Academy, but apart from that, there was barely a pool of players to select from. And when you can't put together 21 Under-17 players, that tells you about the system as a whole, and that I think is a symptom, and really it is in a nutshell what the problem of Indian football is.
Another thing that we have noticed is the junior coach is different and the senior coach is different. Well, they can be different. One guy cannot handle both. But the kind of philosophy that the senior coach has for the country, it would help if the junior coach follows. Here, I think the players can draw example. The AIFF can draw example from the ISL. What do you think about the
country? The ISL, where teams like Bengaluru FC Goa. Derek Pereira was in the ISL. He was working with Sergio Lobera closely at FC Goa and also in charge himself of their reserve side. You look at Bengaluru FC, Naushad Musa is there as one of the backroom staff in the first team, and he is the head coach of the reserve team as well. So that way you get to carry the philosophy that a Carlos Quadrat wants, a Sergio Lobera wants to these players. And because these players in the reserve team are they want to play for the first team one day. These are the players you want to get there. And in the national team's case, even more so. I mean, say the national team are appointing a Spanish coach, be it Albert Roca as has been touted or anybody else. You want that style to trickle down to the under-23s, the under-19s, the under-16s. Because you can't have, say, the under-19s playing the Stephen Constantine way and then have an Albert Roca with the senior team and expect these boys to blend in and gel with the style of Roca.
That's all the time we have for you today. We are suggesting a bottom-top approach instead of a top-down approach, which the AFF is trying out right now. And maybe if they follow these suggestions, we could see the quality of the national team improving. And I hope they make the AFC Under-23 Championship at least the next time around. And this performance gets carried over to the junior teams as well. And that's all we wish for from Sportskeeda. Keep a lookout for all these videos, and thank you for watching.